Style Pub.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. I know some of you out there are not going to be very happy. I'm being one of them. But we're doing it again today. It's the Pushing the Limits radio show. Of course, you could be watching on the Occupy Democrats Network. Of course, besides Occupy, the FM AM dial KSHP, the Washington Press Network, and we appreciate you being a part of the show. Boy, do we have a lot to get to today and a lot to go over. Joe Walsh, former presidential candidate, former Chicago congressman, will be joining us at the bottom of the hour. We'll get some takes from him on what has taken place here in the last 24 hours. And as I mentioned, a lot to get to, a lot to go over. And I want to get right to it. So let's do that. So in my lifetime, I've predicted every presidential election correctly except for 2016. And I'm not alone there. There's a lot of people that thought Hillary Clinton was going to win back in 2016. I was wrong in that election. And I predicted 2020 correctly. Way back in the day, I predicted George W. Bush. I think I was 18 years old. I predicted George W. Bush would defeat Al Gore. That was a really close race. And I predicted Obama would win the following two elections. And I was wrong about yesterday. And unlike many MAGA people out there in the MAGA world, and we'll get to that still believe Donald Trump won the 2020 election, I sit here before you today with questions, but I still accept the results and admit that I was wrong. Not crying myself to sleep. I'm disappointed. And I said that yesterday, and I've been saying months leading up to this that Trump certainly has a good chance to win. I predicted Harris would win a close election. But I told you guys I was worried. I was nervous. And I did not want to see the outcome that took place last night. Now, I think there are a lot of reasons why. And I'm going to get into that as well. But I'm taking a different approach than some people. My approach is as follows. Every single day on this show, I'm going to hold Donald Trump accountable. That is not going to change. Every single day on this show, I'm going to call out the nonsense, the lying, the hate speech, every day. That is not going to change. I am not taking a defensive approach today. I am taking an offensive approach. I assume on January 20th, when he becomes the president again, the war in the Ukraine is going to be over. Donald Trump said that he would end the war in the Ukraine within 24 hours. Those are his words, not mine. Are we going to hold his feet to the fire? I am. He said that he was going to deport 15 million migrants. Let's give him a time to do that. Let's see if he does that. He said car loan interest rates will be deductibles. He said credit card interest rates will be capped at 10%. 33% of the budget will be cut. It'll be balanced. Let's see if he can go ahead and do that. He said there'll be corporation tax cuts. Zero taxes on Social Security. No tax on tips. Let's see if he does that. Because I remember back in 2016, he said he was going to build a wall and Mexico was going to pay for it. How'd that go? He said he was going to hire a special prosecutor to go after Hillary Clinton. How did that go? I'm just asking the question. We need to hold his feet to the fire. Now, there are a lot of Americans in this country that believe every word that he says. I'm not talking to any of you. Because you're going to believe anything. We know that Kamala Harris just conceded and gave Donald Trump the phone call that Donald Trump now, 1,463 days later, never gave to Joe Biden. Donald Trump still says that he won the 2020 election. And if you don't believe me, well, this is exactly what Donald Trump said when those election results came in back in 2020. Have a listen to this.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
That's exactly what Donald Trump would have said if he lost yesterday. He would have said the exact same thing. It's interesting, isn't it? He said there was cheating going on in Philadelphia. Why is it when Donald Trump wins, the Republicans stop talking about rigged elections? Why is it when Donald Trump wins, it seems like all those conversations go bye-bye? I'm just wondering, why is that? Why is that? Why is it in his speech last night he didn't talk about how elections are rigged or all the cheating that he said was going on? He said it earlier in the day. He said there was cheating going on in Philadelphia. You see, because when Donald Trump wins, everything must have been done fair and beautifully, as he would put it. But if he loses, him and his idiot MAGA supporters out there, the extreme right, say that they cheated. Why is that? Now, I'm going to be going into why I believe this happened, and I will be criticizing Democrats today and things that I think could have been done differently, maybe for a different outcome. But I accept the results, even though it is very strange to me that back in 2020, 81 million people voted blue, 74 million people voted red. We were told 25 million people had been registered to vote, mostly young people, and this was the most popular election in the history of this country. 81 million people voted for Democrats back in 2020. 66 million yesterday. 71 million voted red. Am I led to believe that 15 million Democrats decided not to vote and sat this one out? It's very strange to me. I would love an explanation. Where did those 15 million votes go? I think it's a very fair question. You can't say they voted for Trump. Trump got 3 million less votes than he had in 2020. So you can't say that the Democrats are voting for Trump now. I'm sure there's a few out there that did. But where did all these votes go? I'm just asking the question. I think it's a very fair question to ask. Where did all these votes go? We were led to believe that this was the most popular election turnout in history. Well, if that's the case, why did 15 million Democrats decide to sit this one out? It's a very fair question to ask, I think. No talk about this election being rigged by Donald Trump. Where's all the voter integrity talk? Now, there are some positive things to note. Mark Robinson lost. Kerry Lake lost. In most states, women have the right to do what they want with their bodies when it comes to abortion. So there are some positives to talk about as well, in my opinion. But I did not see this coming. Now, we can talk about Democrats for a moment. But I can tell you before I get to Democrats and some criticisms I have, Kamala Harris picked up the phone and she called Donald Trump about 30 minutes ago. And the reports are she said, we want a peaceful transfer of power, and talking about Joe Biden. And she conceded, something Donald Trump has never done. 1,463 days, still hasn't conceded the 2020 election, still didn't congratulate Joe Biden. You MAGA Republican idiots out there, are you okay with that? I'm going to hold his feet to the fire every single day, like I always have. This show will not change. He wants to end the Ukraine war, and he says in 24 hours he'll be able to end the war. Okay, I guess January 21st, the war will be over. Everything will be okay in the Middle East, right? You're all going to get tax breaks. Now, I think he's full of crap. I know he's full of crap, but we'll hold his feet to the fire. Will you do the same? For those of you yesterday that voted for Donald Trump, will you hold his feet to the fire? All the promises that he made? He's getting another good economy. He's being left another really good, stable economy left by another Democrat. Years ago, it was Barack Obama. He ruined that. What's he going to do with this economy? We are going to hold his feet to the fire. So for those of you out there that are not in the best of moods today, for those of you out there that are upset at the outcome last night, let's hold Donald Trump's feet to the fire. Let's be aggressive with all the promises that he has made. Let's all do that as a nation. Let's turn that energy. Some of you are upset. Some of you might be depressed. Some of you are angry. Let's take all that energy and let's hold Donald Trump to account. That's what I ask of all of you. I promise you I will bring it, and I will do that on this show every single day. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The adjudicated rapist and 34-count felon will be held to account, at least on this show. I promise you that. With that being said, I do have some criticisms for Democrats. And let me start by saying this. I've heard on multiple networks that those inside the Harris campaign are putting the blame and pointing fingers on Joe Biden. That's ridiculous. Should there have been a primary? Probably. Monday morning quarterbacking this situation, there probably should have been a primary. Looking back on the situation, if Joe Biden was going to step down, probably should have been done sooner. Very, very difficult when you give Kamala Harris only several months to really introduce herself to the American people running for president, where Donald Trump had years to do so. It put her in a very, very difficult situation. Very difficult. So I believe, looking back, there probably should have been a primary. Things should have happened sooner. They happened way too late. That is my first criticism. My second criticism, and all due respect to Tim Walz. I like Tim Walz. I think he's a good man. I think he's a good governor. Probably would have been a good vice president. I thought it was the wrong choice. I said it the day that they announced it, that Josh Shapiro should have been the pick. Now, would that have changed the outcome of the election? Maybe not. I don't know. But I thought Tim Walz was probably not the right choice. So that's my second criticism. Thirdly, we saw this in 2016. And we saw it again today, where a female is trying to become the leader of the free world. I don't think this election had a lot to do with race. Why do I say that? Well, Barack Obama was elected. Barack Obama's a man. I'm not sure we're ready in this country. And when I say we're, I'm not talking about myself. I'm not talking about some of you that voted for Kamala Harris. I'm not sure we are ready as a country to vote in a female to become the next president of the United States. Now, that's sad, but I do believe the fact that she is a woman played a factor. I do believe that some people that went into that voter booth did not want to vote for a woman. Now, I would call those people idiots, right? I think it'd be great if we had a woman, the leader of the free world. I don't have any problem with it. I don't care what's between your legs. But I do think that played a factor. I absolutely do. I felt like Kamala Harris did everything she could do. I thought she overperformed. She did a great job in that debate. She did everything she could. They campaigned hard. Maybe you could criticize the campaign for being a little bit too careful with her with interviews for a short time there. And then several weeks ago, she did the rounds, did Fox News, did the Howard Stern show. Some could make the argument maybe it was a little too late. But I'm not going to sit here and criticize the campaign. I thought they did fine. I'm not going to sit here and criticize Kamala Harris. I thought she overperformed. And I'm not going to sit here and criticize Joe Biden. What I will say in general terms, as I mentioned, is there probably should have been a primary. They probably should have made this decision sooner. And I think they waited until the debate, which was a disaster. I'm talking about debate Joe Biden and Donald Trump. That was a disaster. Let's call it for what it was. Maybe they shouldn't have waited that long. Maybe there should have been a primary. Maybe that would have been a different outcome. I don't know. But this is how I feel. Here's what we do know. Joe Biden today showed class. He picked up the phone and he congratulated Donald Trump. Kamala Harris showed class. She picked up the phone, she conceded, and she congratulated Donald Trump. Kamala Harris is going to be speaking at the top of the hour. And I can tell you this. She's not going to play the victim. She's not. She's not going to say that they cheated, meaning the Republicans. She's not going to lie, and she's not going to incite violence. Doesn't that mean something? And I'm talking to the people out there that did not vote for Kamala Harris. Doesn't that mean something to you to have decency? And I am a little bit confused. I am. I'm confused on how so many people in this country, the popular vote is what surprises me more than anything. how that there are more than 50% of people in this country that have no problem with putting an adjudicated rapist and 34-count felon as the leader of the free world. That surprises me a lot. It confuses me, and I don't understand it. I am shocked to see that number. And I am also surprised that more women supported Joe Biden in 2020 than Kamala Harris in 2024. That stat makes absolutely no sense to me at all. And I am worried. I am worried at what Donald Trump has already done to this country and what I fear will be done in the next 4 years, going after his political rivals, inciting violence, attacking people he doesn't like verbally on a daily basis. I am worried about that. I'm worried about his relationship with Vladimir Putin. I'm worried about what he's going to give up. I'm worried about what his administration is going to look like. People don't want to talk about that. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. involving health and women. I am worried about that. We all should be worried about that. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the conspiracy theorist nut, in charge of health in a powerful position in Donald Trump's cabinet. I'm very concerned about that. I'm very concerned about a lot of convicted felons that are going to be working in Donald Trump's administration, the Peter Navarros of the world, the Stephen Millers of the world, maybe even a Steve Bannon type, who at least will be an advisor, the Sebastian Gorkas of the world, people like Dinesh D'Souza, Charlie Kirk. These are not serious people. So I'm worried about the administration that he is going to put together. That is a concern of mine. If you thought the last administration was bad, but remember, half of his administration didn't support him. He had a bunch of five-star generals and some people that were respected by many. Who is he going to have as an administration now? So I'm very worried about that as well. I don't know what the next 4 years is going to look like, but I would imagine it'll probably look like the 4 years of Donald Trump when he was in office. I hope we don't have another pandemic. That would be terrible, and I couldn't ask for a worse leader of the free world during a global pandemic. But I think it's going to be exhausting, and I think there's going to be a lot of hate. There's going to be a lot of bigotry. And I guess the best word that I could use is I am extremely disappointed in this country. And so many people in this country that decided to vote for hate, they decided to vote for bigotry over decency, over humanity. I'm very disappointed in that. But it's not going to change what I do every day. It's not going to change what I do tonight. I'm going to spend time with my family, my friends. I'm going to enjoy life. And I suggest all of you do the same. Am I disappointed? Yes. It's not going to change this radio show one iota. In fact, I think it'll actually make it stronger. And many people can make the case it'll make the show more popular. I am not going to change one thing that I do on this show. Not one thing. I am going to hold people to account, particularly in this case, Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans, and I will not change. I won't change my opinions. I won't change my views. I'm not changing anything. So you don't have to worry about that. I can promise you that. But I am confused. I am confused. So we'll take a few calls. We have Joe Walsh coming up at the bottom of the hour, and then we'll take some more phone calls on the other side. But we'll take a few calls now to start the show. Get your thoughts on what took place yesterday. Let's start off with Serena. Serena is first up on PTL. Hi, Serena.
Hi, Brian.
Hey, what's on your mind?
Well, first of all, I think you're fabulous, and I agree with every single thing you have said.
Thank you.
I'm just curious. It's the popular vote. I'm curious as to whether or not Project 2025, the authors thereof, and, of course, Elon Musk and Putin and Russia, is it possible that there was a little bit of interference going
Well, we know
on?
we know that for sure because it's already been confirmed that there were bomb threats and Russia was responsible for that. So we do know that there was interference. Was it enough to overturn determine an outcome of an election. I don't think so. But here's
Right.
what I will say to that, and I'm going to repeat what I said in the opening monologue, which is this: 81 million people voted for Joe Biden in 2020. We were told that 25 million people registered to vote in this election, and this was the biggest election in American history. And we're led to believe that Trump got 3 million less votes, and Kamala Harris got, was it 17 million, if somewhere along there, or if memory serves me right, that Joe Biden got. Where are all those voters? Are we led to believe that over 15 million Democrats decided to sit this one out in what many said was the most popular election in American history? I think that's an answer that, a question that needs to be answered by somebody. I'd love to know, are we led to believe that this isn't a global pandemic? Are we led to believe that 15 million people decided to sit on their ass? I'm not buying that. I'm
not buying it either.
I'm just asking the question, what happened to all those voters? I don't believe they just sat it out. I know everybody in my inner circle voted. Republicans,
mine
Democrats.
Too.
Yeah,
mine too.
So,
and I just don't get the numbers popular vote, electoral college.
Something strange.
I cannot wrap my arms around that.
Well, something strange, I was going to say. Something doesn't make sense. Something is strange. I'm not saying that it wasn't a free and fair election. I just want somebody to answer my question. What happened to the 15 million Democrats that apparently decided to sit this one out? What happened to those votes? I think it's a very fair question to ask. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. All right, who are we going to next here? Let's go to Eddie. Eddie is next. Hello, Eddie.
Well, I want to congratulate you on two fronts.
Okay.
Number one, congratulations. Your show is going to reach new records.
Well, I hope so. I didn't root for Trump to win, but I have heard that from multiple people in my inner circle that are saying my show's going to be more popular now.
Yeah, they have to cry and complain to somebody, so it might as well be you.
Well, am I crying and complaining? Hold on. Let's finish the conversation, number one, and then I'll let you.
I said your listeners.
Eddie, okay.
Your listeners.
Okay, Eddie, let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about that, and I'll let you finish, okay? Do you think people calling in with concerns, now maybe some people might be crying and complaining. Do you think it's wrong for people to be disappointed? You think that's a bad thing, to have passion and to be disappointed? I'm not talking about people that are going to call in and just cry and complain. Do you think there's something wrong with having passion about our country and maybe being a little bit disappointed that the candidate that you wanted to win didn't win? Do you think that's a bad thing?
If they had passion, they would have voted, correct?
Gotcha. Would you say those people cried?
15 million people. 15 people sat it out, or they didn't cheat enough. So that's what happened there. There's your answer.
What do you mean they didn't cheat enough? Where's your evidence that Democrats are cheating in elections?
2020 was
okay. So you want to okay? Let's have a conversation. Sure. Let's have a okay. Let's have a conversation about that, sir. You're calling into this show. You don't want to hear Democrats crying and complaining, and now you're the one saying that Donald Trump won the 2020 election, sir. What's wrong with you? Where's your evidence that Trump won the 2020 election? Are we even really having this conversation? Because Kamala Harris picked up the phone today and she conceded. Joe Biden picked up the phone today and congratulated Donald Trump. What is wrong with people like you? What is wrong with people like you?
To cry in her pillow.
To cry in her pillow. Hey, where's your evidence that Trump won the 2020 election? Does it not bother you that on day 1463? Why don't you let me finish? Why don't you shut up and let me finish my question, you dummy? Okay? Why don't you let me finish my question, you dope? You guys are crying. You guys are crying and complaining. It's day 1463, and Donald Trump hasn't conceded the 2020 election. Yet you call into this show, and you're saying, well, the Democrats didn't have an opportunity to cheat. Sir, what is your education? Seriously, it's a serious question. How stupid are you? Guess what? Donald Trump. Yeah. What's your education? How stupid are you to think that Donald Trump won the 2020 election? No. Yeah. Nobody thinks you're schooling me. Why don't you tell me what school you went to? What do you do for work? How dumb do you have to be to think that Donald Trump? Why don't you answer one of my questions directly? Why don't you answer my question directly, huh? Why don't you answer? You can't, can you? You dope. See, folks, that's exactly what I'm talking about. The Democrat didn't have an opportunity to cheat this time around. Donald Trump won the 2020 election. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stupid people like that in America that voted for Donald Trump yesterday. That's where my frustration lies, ladies and gentlemen. That is where my frustration lies. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Shauna. Shauna is next up on PTL. Hi, Shauna.
Hi. Black female, first-time caller, new listener to you.
Oh,
and I am not crying. I am not complaining. I am scared. My parents grew up and survived Jim Crow. So I grew up in the aftermath of Jim Crow, Alabama. I sat firsthand to listen to their experiences of what they went through. And they survived it. And I know what white America is capable of doing. I'm not saying all, but enough of them have already shown they don't care about what happens to black and brown people, Americans. And that's a problem.
Well, you have a right to be scared. You have a right to be scared because I'm scared for people like you. I'm scared for women in this country that might not have, the authority to do what they want with their bodies. I am scared for the future. There's no question about that. And you have a right to feel that way because I think a lot of Americans woke up today feeling the same way that you are feeling. And
what's even more frustrating is I have a few black male family members who now openly said they voted for Trump.
Yeah.
And I ask them why. And they can't give me not even a policy reason. They just say, oh, he's strong, he's great for America. Tell me how. Tell me why. I can give you many policy reasons why I want him to stay out of office, and I voted for Harris.
Yeah.
But they can't. So a lot of this, I'm just confused how so many of my black family members and friends, and even white friends that I have who are conservative and claim they care about me, pretty much say, I don't give I'm almost going to curse. I don't give a crap about what happens to you in 4 years. And that's what they just told me with this outcome, with their vote.
Well,
so I'm angry.
I'm frustrated. I feel you. I understand your concerns. Here's what I can promise you that I'm going to do every day on this show. As I've done leading up to this election, as I did when Donald Trump was in office, even when Biden's been in office, I'm going to hold his feet to the fire. We're going to interview Republicans on this show all the time. We're going to hold them accountable. And if our justice system won't hold Donald Trump accountable, I promise you I will. I will hold him accountable on this radio show. I will separate fact from fiction. I will do it on this show every single day. And I give you my word on that. You have a right to be worried and concerned. But there's a lot of good people in this country as well. And there are good people in office that understand the threat that Donald Trump is to this country. And they're going to hold his feet to the fire as well. And we are going to hold him accountable.
Too many loyalists with him now this time.
Yeah,
and they're not going to stand up against him. They've already shown it.
There's no question about that, my dear. And I appreciate you calling in, and I feel your frustration. I really do. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. All right, why don't we take another call? Let's go to Paul. Paul is next up on PTL. Hey, Paul, what's going on, man?
You guys thought you guys were going to win.
Sir, do you want to have a serious conversation? Hold on, pot him down for a second. Pot him down for a second, this laughing hyena. Pot him down all the way, please. Yep. So, Paul, would you like to have a serious conversation? Or did you just call in just to act like a 4-year-old? I'd like to have a serious conversation with you. Pot him down again. Hey, he sounds like the Joker, by the way, this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump's base.
You're a loser, dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump's base. Paul, Donald Trump's base. A brilliant phone call of laughing like a 4-year-old hyena. Paul, how do you live with yourself, man? Like, can't you have a serious conversation with somebody? You have that feminine Tucker Carlson timid laugh. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for the phone call, pal. Very, very intelligent caller. Hey, Paul, have you committed incest in your life?
Take that L, buddy. Take that L.
That's a guy that never gets laid, by the way. I guarantee you. This is a guy who's never gotten laid in his life. He's a schoolyard Billy 4-year-old who took his little 5-foot-tall, 800-pound body to the polls today. Probably couldn't fit in the poll booth, and he voted for Donald Trump. And then he's like, "Wow, I can't wait to call that guy Brian Shapiro. I'm not going to make any points. I'm not going to have a conversation with him, but I'm just going to laugh and say, take the L." Hey, Paul. Hey, dumbass. I was the first person today to go on the show and say I was wrong and I accept the outcomes of the election. But you see, you're so stupid, you don't even understand what that means. Have a nice day, Paul. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. Again, that number, 702-221-7283. Who are we going to next? Let's go to another Paul. Paul, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
You know, when I heard Kamala Harris say this is not who we are as a country, Brian, I got to be honest, I kind of feel like it is. And I kind of feel like we're just in denial about this. I feel like as a country, we keep saying we're the greatest country in the world. We're the greatest country in the world. And I'm not saying that we're not a good country, but we haven't been great for all people. We had half of this country that chose a rapist, a racist, misogynist, a sexist, a convicted felon because they wanted gas to go down 5 cents a gallon, Brian. My wife was crying last night because once again, a white man was chosen over a more than competent, talented, skilled, experienced black woman. I mean, I don't know how you fix that, Brian, as a country. I mean, I don't even think this was an issue of Democrat and Republican. This was about decency, morality, integrity, like wholesomeness, joy, and they rejected all of it because of the price of gas. I don't know where you go from there as a country, honestly. Am I off base here?
I don't think you're off base. Obviously, I'm very disappointed with the outcome, as I'm sure you are as well. What amazes me, okay, what amazes me about this whole situation is very simple. And what amazes me is that more women voted for Joe Biden than Kamala Harris. That's what is a real shocker to me, Paul. That's what really is a shocker to me. But you know what? I'll be interested to hear more of your thoughts as the week goes on why this happened, Paul. And give me a call back tomorrow. And
Brian? Yeah. Can I say one more quick thing?
Sure, go ahead.
You know, even though Mark Robinson lost, I want you to keep this in mind, and I think this is overlooked. Mark Robinson, who claimed to be a black Nazi and said some people need killing, still received 2 million votes in North Carolina. Think about that.
Well, they're all idiots. I'm sorry.
Right?
I'm just gonna. If you would vote for Mark Robinson, you're an idiot. You're somebody that endorses hatred and bigotry, and I can't believe I'm saying this. That far exceeds even Donald Trump, for that matter. They're idiots, Paul. I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm glad that guy's not getting into office. I appreciate the call, Paul. We'll take some more phone calls on the other side, but joining me right now on the show, he joined us again earlier this week, and I have so much respect for him. And we were both wrong. We both admitted to go wrong, and we both accept the outcome of a free and fair election. Of course, we're talking about former presidential candidate and former Congressman Joe Walsh joining us right now on the show. Joe, I do appreciate you coming on the show today, my man. I wish it was under better circumstances.
And Brian, I do apologize because I was wrong. I think at about midnight last night, I just tweeted those 3 words. I was wrong. I did not see this coming. I always knew he could win. I'm not surprised, Brian. You and I talked about it. I believe the Democratic Party is utterly out of touch with working class America. But I was surprised, Brian, because I really didn't think America would put an utterly horrible human being back in the White House. I just didn't think they would.
Neither did I, Joe, but help explain this to me. And this is not a conspiracy theory. It's a question. And I think you know what I'm going to ask. Joe Biden got 81 million votes in 2020. We were told 25 million people, new registered voters, and it was this biggest turnout in election history in the presidency. And 66 million people vote for Kamala Harris. And they didn't go to Donald Trump because only 71 million. Trump had 74 million in 2020. So I'm asking people, where did all these votes go?
So I'm gonna plead ignorance, and I'm gonna ask you a question. We're not nearly done with the vote count.
Sure.
What I've read, Brian, is there are still about 15 to 18 million votes that haven't been counted. I still think Kamala Harris will win the popular vote by a little bit, but I don't know how those numbers stack up. If another 15 million or 18 million votes are counted, does that then kind of make sense? I don't
Good.
know.
I think that's a very valid point. It could. So we should I'm probably talking about this a little bit too soon, and we should probably wait
No,
and
but
see.
you know what, Brian? You raised a really good point. We all need to wait because we're not even close to done with the vote count yet. And everybody else is saying, oh, Trump won X percentage of the Latino vote or the black vote. We won't know these official numbers for another month.
Correct. That's a very good point that you raised, Joe. You know, Donald Trump yesterday even said that in Philadelphia there was cheating going on, and it's very interesting, isn't it? Because in his speech last night, didn't mention anything about anything being rigged. Apparently, if he wins, everything is free and fair, and everything went smoothly. Didn't mention it once. So when he wins, everything is fair, but when he loses, it must have been rigged and it must have been cheating, right?
He's a horrible guy. He's an un-American, lawless psychopath. He is what he is. But hey, dear Trump supporters, congratulations, man. You won. I mean that. Congratulations, Trump supporters. But number two, Trump supporters, listen to Brian and I right now. We oppose Trump, but we accept the result. The American people spoke. They chose him. It devastates me. It makes me sad, but we accept the result. So, Trump supporters, please follow our example this year, and let's not ever go down that 2020 road again, please.
Very well said. You know, Trump has made a lot of promises, Joe. He's going to end the Ukraine war in a day. He's talked a lot about credit card interest rates capped at 10%. A 33% of budget will be cut. It'll be balanced. 15 million migrants will be deported. Don't you think we all as Americans should hold his feet to the fire with all these promises? I think he's full of crap. I'll be honest with you. But I mean, he's claiming he's going to be doing all these things.
So you and I accept the peaceful transfer of power. We accept the people's choice. And he won. And we're not happy about it. But Brian, once he's sworn in, and I'm exhausted, as I'm sure you're exhausted, once he's sworn in, all of us who believe in democracy, the rule of law, decency, and the truth, man, we got to wage battle again against everything he's going to try to do. Brian, I believe he's un-American. I believe he wants to be an authoritarian. Go ahead and try to deport 15 million people in this country. We need to try to fight him every step of the way for everything we believe in. Do that principled as Americans. But Brian, the other thing I'd say is, again, he's an idiot. He's a stupid person. He's a pathological liar. I don't know what he'll try to do.
I don't know either. And that was going to be my next question for you. If you're just joining us, Joe Walsh with us on the show. So, Joe, I'm trying to think of what his administration is going to sort of look like. And I get scared because I see a lot of crazy people that are going to be around him. At least he had some 5-star generals and he had some competent people around him back in 2016. I'm worried. Can you imagine, Joe, and think for a moment what this administration is going to look like in a few months?
I'll give you two quick thoughts. I saw RFK this morning talking about being in charge of the FDA. RFK and the FDA should never be in the same effing sentence. RFK in charge of vaccines, or scary, scary stuff. And at one level, Brian, you're right. The people around Trump could be an absolute clown show because RFK and the rest of them are whack jobs. But Brian, here's what scares me. MAGA is now validated. MAGA is the Republican Party. And I think now you're going to see true believers in the Republican Party increasing. And I worry about all the quote unquote normal Republicans now becoming even more MAGA. So in a weird way, I could see quality people, quality Republicans that you and I a couple months ago would have called quality, wanting to go work with him because now they know a sane Republican Party ain't never coming back. And they want jobs and they want to get involved. So he may have good people who help him, but they will, in essence, be MAGA.
I think that's a really good point. And isn't that scary what you just said,
Yes.
Joe? Republicans that we respect, right, that we believe have a moral compass could turn MAGA. Oh, boy. Can you imagine? You mentioned Robert F. Kennedy Jr. being in charge of women's health. Oh, my gosh. I'm thinking of the Stephen Millers and the Sebastian Gorkas and the Dinesh D'Souza's and the Charlie Kirks, who you know personally. People like that. Even, I mean, Steve Bannon wasn't joking when he said Laura Loomer could be the communications director. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. I think that's a stretch. But, Joe, you never know.
No, Brian. It's not a stretch. Laura Loomer is not a stretch. They told Trump to keep Laura Loomer away during the campaign. I guarantee you Laura Loomer will be right by his side. Steve Bannon will be by his side. Michael Flynn will be by his side. A given. Tucker Carlson, Vivek Ramaswamy, Tulsi Gabbard. Brian, this pains me to say it, my brother, because this was my former party. This now is the Republican Party for good. Wow. This election made clear this is the Republican Party now for good.
All right. So before I let you go, Joe, I started off the show today and I had some criticisms for Democrats. I thought Tim Waltz, you tell me whether you agree or not with these. I thought Tim Waltz is a good guy, nice man, thought it was the wrong pick. Didn't think he had a good debate. I thought Josh Shapiro would have been a better choice. Number two, I think they should have had a primary. And I know I'm Monday morning quarterbacking here, but I thought that you give Kamala Harris only a couple months, putting her behind the eight ball. I thought she did as good a job as she could have done under very difficult circumstances. And I'm not putting blame on Joe Biden either, by the way. All I'm saying is the decision should have been made earlier. And I think it put Democrats in a difficult spot.
All right, Shapiro. I'm stopping you right there, you
Go
son
ahead.
of a gun. I'm stopping you because you and I are going to have a friendly tussle.
Okay.
I don't blame Kamala Harris at all for this loss. I wish she had come out on day one and gone in front of and held news conferences and town halls from day one, but she ran a great campaign. I blame Joe Biden for 95% of this.
Really?
Completely. And I'll give you two reasons, Bri. 2. 4 years ago, Biden gets elected. We're coming out of a once-in-a-lifetime health crisis, a pandemic. Joe Biden needed to sit the American people down right then and say, hey, folks, here's what the next 4 years are going to look like economically. It's going to be bumpy, supply chains, all the rest, but we're going to work our way through it. And then every quarter, Joe Biden should have held an economic fireside chat with the American people. The American people, Bri, never understood economically what was going on. And by the way, you know this, economically, we recovered better from COVID than every other industrialized nation. But Joe Biden could never communicate that. Second point, right after the midterms, Joe Biden should have said, you know what? I'm holding to my pledge. We kicked butt in these midterms. I'm going to be a one-termer. Let's open up my party to a normal, vibrant 2-year primary. Go. If Biden had done that, I think this would be a much different ballgame. He stayed in office too long. He let his ego get in the way of him. Hey, Bri, we all love Ruth Bader Ginsburg, right? We all love her. She stayed on the damn Supreme Court too long, and it cost Democrats. Joe Biden did the same damn thing.
Okay, so I agree with some of what you said.
Come at me, my
Well,
friend.
I agree with some of what you said, but here's the thing, right? 2 years ago, I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor. I don't think Joe Biden was the same guy 2 years ago as he was today.
Doesn't matter. I hear you, but
Maybe,
it doesn't matter.
okay, but Joe, maybe he probably wanted to run again back then. And, you know, I believe his health might have deteriorated a little bit.
When he first got elected, remember when he was running, he said, I'm going to be the bridge. If he had stuck to that, don't you think people would look better upon him and it would have been better for the party?
Perhaps, but results matter, Joe. And you know this better than anybody because you've been making the case across the country. Look at where we're at right now. Inflation is under 3%. You look at manufacturing jobs and the unemployment numbers and the president he has been. I guess what I'm saying is this, and
He
this
still
might
could have run on that. He still could have run on all that.
perhaps, but what I'm about to say might be harsh, but there are way too many Americans in this country that are very ill-informed. They watch their Newsmax, they watch their Fox News. They have no idea how our economy works. They don't know what they're talking about when it comes to the economy. Could Joe Biden have done a better job in maybe communicating a bunch of different things? I agree with you. Maybe not the best communicator, but
preach,
but
brother.
I can't put this all on Joe Biden. I can't put 95% of it on Joe Biden. You know what I put most of this on? I'm going to tell you, Joe, who I put most of this on. Ignorant Americans. Dumb people. I'm not saying everybody who voted for Donald Trump is stupid, but a lot of Donald Trump's base are ill-informed, uneducated white people that watch their Newsmax all day. They're brainwashed, and quite frankly, they're not very intelligent.
I hear that. I'm going to fight you respectfully. I'll fight you on that till the cows come home. Damn it, I'm going to fly out to Vegas, sit in your studio, and we're going to talk about that. Okay. Bri, America went 4 years without, in essence, a bully pulpit. It's the most important job a president has, is communicating. And Joe Biden, God love him, he was unable to communicate. But I'll say the Democrats' bigger problem is this. Working class America had a decision to make. And working class America chose the demagogue who lied to them over the party that has looked down on them for years. Democrats have a problem with working class America.
Okay, but if that was the case, I'm not saying you're wrong, but from a policy standpoint, Donald Trump had the biggest tax breaks for the top 1%. If you're talking about raising minimum wage, you're talking about the unemployment numbers, you're talking about people that are suffering, that are living paycheck to paycheck, then wouldn't a simple response to that be, well, Democrats, Kamala Harris, probably better for me than Donald Trump, and lowering taxes? That's the part that's confusing to me when you say working class people.
Because front and center, the things that have pissed off working class people the last 8 to 10 years: immigration, our open borders, crime on the street, and the price of bread. Period. And Trump lied about all those things. They're eating our cats and our dogs. But damn it, the Democrats ignored immigration, our border, and crime on the street, and they couldn't communicate the economy.
I think if they put that border bill in place the first year they were in office, I think they could have made that case.
Boom!
I think it's a very valid argument you're making. And I know you're going to have a lot of discussions like these in the coming days on a lot of the networks, my friend. But
Brian, can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
I love you, brother. You and I, what we need to do next time we do this, can we have some tequila and do this?
We need to do that in studio, my friend. You got to get out here to Vegas and be here for more than like 3 hours. But Joe, I love you as well. And I love your work and what you've done in trying to get Kamala Harris elected. Unfortunately, we both didn't get the result that we wanted. But here's what I say, Joe. This is what I said to start the show, and we'll leave it at this. We have to hold Donald Trump's feet to the fire.
Amen.
All the things that he has said he's going to do. Let's see where the economy is in 2 years. And let's hold his feet to the fire. And then if we're in big trouble, we can speak to those who voted for Donald Trump and say, this is the guy that you wanted in office.
He's an un-American traitor. We have to fight him with everything we've got once he's sworn in. Game on. Game on.
Joe, always love you, my friend. Appreciate you taking the time, and look forward to talking to you soon. You have a good rest of your day. All right, Joe? Thank you.
See you, brother.
All right, take care. That's Joe Walsh, everybody. All right, well, there you go. That's Joe Walsh. We got into it a little bit there, which I like, by the way. I don't always agree with Joe, but I have the utmost respect for him. We are going to take a break, our first break of the show. We're going to take some phone calls on the other side. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Please check out my website, by the way, pushingthelimits.live. You can help support what we do here on the show. We sell merchandise up there, shirts, hats, beanies, you name it. And we also accept donations. There's a little donation button there on the front page. $5, $10, $20 a month, so that I can continue every day to be calling out who I believe is an evil or a wannabe evil murderous dictator. So check out that website, pushingthelimits.live. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we want to hear from you. 702-221-7283. It's Pushing the Limits, and we will be back right after this. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Kelb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Kelb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part, every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
All right, we got some very special guests that are going to be joining us throughout the remainder of the week. Tomorrow, Mr. Don Lemon himself is going to be joining us on the show. Some very popular podcasters will be joining us on the show Friday. I'll announce that tomorrow. We just had former presidential candidate Joe Walsh. I got to be honest with you, I was a little surprised with what Joe Walsh said. He's putting 95% of the blame on Joe Biden. I don't agree with him on that. That's why we kind of duked it out. I love Joe. He's the best. Obviously, talking about the elections last night, Kamala Harris has conceded called Donald Trump, and being the person that she is, being the person that Joe Biden is, they called and they congratulated him. And I think that's important. Also, Joe Biden has invited Donald Trump to the White House. I don't know if I would have gone that far, but Joe Biden, being the person that he is, doesn't surprise me that he's done that. Before we get to the calls, I want to remind all of you, the official gaming bar of the Pushing the Limits radio show is Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Man, they got so many great promotions this month, including the Pass the Puck contest during Vegas Golden Knights games, where you can win up to $500 in free slot play. You have opportunities to win a free bottle of wine, $50 in free slot play if you're playing on Sundays. Check the promotions for more details. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. All right, I promised all of you that I would get back to the phones. Let's do that right now, and let's go to Mark. Mark, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. Yeah, I blame a little bit on Joe Biden. I also blame a little on the media. Every little word that Biden misspoke, they chastised him, and they normalized Trump. But I'm going to make a point that should send shockwaves, and here it is. Brian, do you remember Michael Bloomberg?
Yeah, sure.
He was the mayor of New York City for
Correct.
2 terms.
Correct. Yep.
Now, New York law states that you can only run for 2 terms.
Yep.
Donald Trump was watching what Mayor Bloomberg did. Mayor Bloomberg got with the legislators, and the legislators in New York passed a new law stating they're ending term limits.
Yeah.
Michael Bloomberg ran a 3rd time, won, and then told the legislators to start up term limits again. Mm-hmm. Trump said, wow, when that happened. Now, do you remember not too long ago when Trump said you don't have to worry about another election after this one?
Yes, I do.
Trust me, Trump is going to get with Congress. Believe me. And not only end term limits, Congress can end elections. All it takes is a stroke of a pen and pass Congress and the Senate, and Trump got it. Yeah. There won't be another election. I guarantee it. This is what they're working for.
Well, that might be Mark what they're looking for. I don't necessarily think that that's going to happen in the next election. Republicans are looking for a lot. Let's be honest, and I'm talking about MAGA Republicans. They're looking for an abortion ban throughout the country. I do think a lot of the stuff, maybe not all of it, but a lot of the stuff in Project 2025, they are going to try to implement in Donald Trump's administration. God forbid J.D. Vance, who is another just absolute scumbag, being the vice president, is going to be horrific. I believe his administration is going to be horrific. Hey, I root for the country. I want the country to succeed. Doesn't mean I'm necessarily rooting for Donald Trump, but I want the country to succeed. I am in fear that this economy that we have now is going to go up in shambles when Donald Trump takes office. It'll take a little bit of time, but all the hard work that Joe Biden's administration has done to get the country to where it is now, I think it is going to go in shambles. I really do believe that. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Kim. Kim is next up on PTL. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Brian. I'm very disappointed, but the one I really truly blame is Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland had an opportunity to indict Trump when he got out of office. You said you cannot indict a city president, and at that time that was Joe Biden. So I don't understand why Merrick Garland went after the people that stormed the Capitol, but they did not go after the people that started, like Women for Trump, Stop the Steal. They didn't go after those, and they didn't go after the Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas' wife. He did nothing. So that Donald Trump would not ran for president if he would have indicted them. Even if
you are not going to get an argument from me. I believe Merrick Garland has been an absolute disaster from day one, and that was probably a big letdown for me personally. And it's unfortunate, but at the same time, we have to go forward now. And I hate to use Kamala Harris's words, and I know it's going to be very difficult to say, we're not going back. And I do think under Donald Trump we are going back, but we have to hold our politicians to account, and that includes Donald Trump. We have to hold Donald Trump to account. I am not on the defensive today. I am on the offensive. I accept the outcome of the election. I don't like it, but I accept it, and I was wrong in my prediction. So what? A lot of people got it wrong in 2016. A lot of MAGA Republicans got it wrong in 2020. But here's the difference. We accept the outcome. MAGA dopes do not. 70. Thank you for the call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Patrick. Patrick is next up on PTL. Hello, Patrick.
It's MAGA Patrick. Thank you. I'd appreciate that respect. But I want to point out, I do agree with Joe Walsh. I think he's spot on that the Republican Party is no longer the Republican Party. It's pretty much MAGA now. And I think that's a great thing. I think the Democrats, the people that support the Democrat Party should do the same thing, however they can. I think Nancy Pelosi, Obama, the way in which they handled this primary process, I think their power is on shaky ground. There's going to be a lot of discussion. I think I'd love to see a vibrant Democrat Party, a grassroots party, where these nominees were not selected, and the process has been what it has been.
So was this a free and fair? Was this a free and fair election, Patrick?
Oh, Brian, why don't you talk about the issues and stop moving on from?
I am talking about the issues. Hey, Patrick, this isn't a talking point. I need you to pay attention. This isn't a talking point.
I did warn you that you could win the popular vote.
Patrick, I need you to stop talking now because I'm asking. Patrick, would you like to have a conversation? That means you need to stop talking now, and I'm going to ask you a question. This is not a talking point. It's a question. We just had an election yesterday. I am asking you a very simple question, and I'd like a simple answer. I didn't ask you if it was too big to rig. My question was, did Donald Trump win a free? Are you going to let me ask the question? Was it a free and fair election? Yes or no? Simple answer, right?
Yes, I do believe that.
Good. I agree. Patrick, I don't need an explanation. I don't need an explanation from you. It's a free and fair election. You said yes. Guess what, Patrick? For the most part, unless I see something showing evidence otherwise, I agree with you. But here's the problem. But here's the problem I have.
You're going to go back
today.
to 2020.
No, why don't you? Are
2020.
you going to let me talk, or are you going to continue to interrupt me? Thank you, Patrick. Let me speak now. Kamala Harris. I'm not speaking about 2020. I'm speaking about today. Listen for once. Kamala Harris picked up. Are you gonna shut up? Or
she got whooped, man.
Pot him down again. The guy doesn't know how to have a conversation like many MAGA morons. Patrick. Kamala Harris did something today. She picked up the phone. She congratulated and conceded to Donald Trump. Joe Biden picked up the phone, congratulated Donald Trump. In fact, Joe Biden invited Donald Trump into the White House. Does it bother you that Donald Trump never did any of those things, or is that not a big deal to you at all? And will you give Joe Biden and Kamala Harris credit for showing decency and a moral compass and honesty in doing that? Do you give them any credit? I guess it's a two-part question, Patrick. If you're capable of answering.
I would say me and the majority of Americans don't give one rat's ass about that phone call that didn't take place.
So Patrick, you're wrong. I think MAGA morons like you don't give a rat's ass. But I think most decent human beings and Americans in this country that have a moral compass, clearly you don't, care about somebody who concedes in an election, care about somebody who doesn't lie, care about somebody who isn't a sore loser, care about somebody, a president having a peaceful transfer of power. Now, I know you probably don't care. Or let me ask you this question, Patrick. Do you care about a peaceful transfer of power? Do you care about that?
Brian, why don't y'all do some soul searching on y'all?
Bottom down again. The question wasn't about Brian doing soul searching. MAGA crap for brains, Patrick. That's going to be your name now because you don't answer questions. But I'm going to try one more time with you, Patrick. It's a very simple question. You struggle to answer simple questions. So I'm going to ask it again. I need you to listen, Patrick. Get the MAGA wax out of your ears. Listen. Do you care about a peaceful transfer of power? Yes or no? Answer the question.
Yes, I do, and I disagree.
Good. Then if you care about a peaceful transfer of power, then you would show a little bit of honesty and decency, which I'm not sure you have. Clearly you don't. And you would commend Joe Biden for inviting Donald Trump to the White House, for having a meeting tomorrow, congratulating him for winning, and Kamala Harris picking up the phone and conceding. But the reason why you won't do that is because you are a biased right-wing buffoon. I'm not sure you care about the peaceful transfer of power, because if you did, you would have had a problem with Donald Trump when he entered office. You would have had a problem with that, and you would have had a problem with Donald Trump not doing the same for Joe Biden and not conceding an election and not bringing up Kamala Harris's name last night in his speech. But the reason why you won't own and admit those things, Patrick, is because you're not a very intelligent person. That's just the bottom line. And I don't think you're a very honest person either, because you don't answer my questions honestly. It's always an excuse for people like you. But hey, Patrick, let's give Donald Trump a chance again. You think he's going to end the Ukraine war in 24 hours, Patrick? You think he's going to do that?
Hey, I
is
need
he
to respond back
answer,
to what you were saying.
Answer the question.
So
is he
like
going to end
peaceful transfer of power in 2016 when the Obama administration was spying on Trump? Huh?
Do you understand what a peaceful transfer?
A political dossier.
Oh, so you want to talk about the dossier now? You want to play whataboutism? Hey,
using the
Barack
FBI
Obama, you have no idea what you're talking about. First of all, okay. There's no evidence that Barack Obama was spying on Donald Trump. You're a liar and you're misinformed. Donald Trump's base. Number two, Barack Obama invited Donald Trump into the White House, gave him a plan on how to deal with COVID. He threw that out. He graciously invited Trump in there. And by the way, Donald Trump was the same guy in the birther issue that said that Barack Obama wasn't even born in the country for 5 years. But you see, Patrick, you don't want to answer my questions directly. You just want to spew your right-wing conspiracy theories. But let's see, Patrick, you don't want to answer my question, even though I'll try to ask it one more time. Hey, Patrick, Donald Trump said he would end the war in the Ukraine in 24 hours. So should that mean on January 21st, the war in the Ukraine is going to be over? Yes or no? Is that your expectation? Answer the question. Answer the question. Answer the question. Yeah, exactly. You won't answer my question because you're an idiot. Have a nice day, Patrick. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's see, who do we have next here? 702-221-7283. Let's go to Rob. Rob is next on PTL. Hey, Rob, what's going on, man?
Hey, Brian. I was watching the election last night, and she was doing really good in the blue wall states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And then all of a sudden, she started leading. But I've seen your show, and you said many a times that inflation is below 3%. Now, I was watching this guy on YouTube who's a YouTube streamer, and he said the reason why Kamala lost is because of inflation in the economy.
That's
Which
ridiculous.
I agree with you. That is ridiculous because the economy is fine. Inflation is below 3%.
But hold
You
on.
said that earlier.
But hold on. So we agree, but here's the thing, right? There's a lot of ill-informed Americans out there that believe when they see that sort of stuff. They think that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, created all this inflation, and they don't understand facts. They don't understand that inflation is under 3%. So I do believe a lot of dumb Americans decided to vote yesterday because they are misinformed. They're ill-informed on the issues in the economy. I do believe that, but the facts speak for themselves.
Yeah, and it's also the fact that we just elected a 34-count felon. And I'm disgusted. I am absolutely disgusted. Now, everything that we were going to do to this guy to hold him accountable is now going to go away.
Well, you're probably right on that, and it's unfortunate. We have to live with it. And with that being said, we need to hold Donald Trump's feet to the fire, for lack of a better term. All right, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Tim. Tim is next up on PTL. Hey, Tim, what's going on, man?
Hello, Brian. Love your show.
Thank you.
You need to hold Trump's feet to the fire about health care.
Yes.
He said he has a plan, and
right,
he's got 4 more years.
You think it'll
What are
take
your
him
thoughts
13
on
years, 13 years to come up with a plan? I mean, that's the funny part about this whole thing, right? People can disagree with Obamacare, but Donald Trump's been lying to the American people on so many different things, including healthcare. We're going to have a plan in 2 weeks. We're going to have a plan in a couple months. We're going to have a plan very, very soon. He said that throughout the presidency. There is literally no plan, and maybe there is a plan that we don't know about. But the bottom line is he hasn't revealed that to anybody. So, I mean, you're right. I mean, where's the plan for the future? I mean, he claims he wants to deport 15 million undocumented immigrants, right? He makes that claim. He claims he's going to end the war in the Ukraine in 24 hours. We know that he's full of crap. We know this isn't going to happen, but sadly, there are a lot of Americans that believe the crap that spews out of his mouth, and they voted for him. And that's what's unfortunate about this whole thing.
And I agree with the economy's good right now. It's really good. 3% inflation.
It is.
4% unemployment.
Yeah, it's great. 5.4% for African Americans, 4% unemployment. Inflation is under 3%. I guarantee you, mark my words on this one, that in 2 years of the Donald Trump administration here in 2024, in 2 years, I guarantee you these numbers will not be as strong. I guarantee you.
Yes, I agree. I think there will be a recession with him. And then he talks about tariffs. That will really hurt.
Oh, don't even get me started with that. And I talked to Mark Cuban about that. I emailed him this morning. He emailed me back right away. He's taking a break from doing interviews. But if anybody makes the case on how dangerous these Trump tariffs are, he did. And Mark Cuban worked really hard, and I appreciate his hard work in all this as well. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Melanie. Melanie is next up on PTL. Hi, Melanie. Thanks for calling in.
Hi. Yeah, I was just listening and hearing everybody talk. I'm calling from Massachusetts.
Yep.
I heard some people talk about the Jim Crow era and everything.
Mm-hmm.
My concern with everything is my grandmother, she lived during the war in Germany and lived through the Nazis and did everything like that. And my grandmother always said, be careful, because what to look for. And what the guy, he called and was like, vote for me and you won't have to vote again.
He did say that.
Like,
right.
It's awfully like sounding like Hitler and, I'm not that old either.
I've always said that a lot of Donald Trump's verbiage is similar to an evil, murderous dictator like an Adolf Hitler. I've never said he is Adolf Hitler, But in the
Yeah.
aspect of the verbiage that he uses, I don't have any problem with that sort of comparison. And unfortunately, this person was elected. This person was just
Yeah,
elected. So I'm very disappointed.
it's
Like I said,
scary.
it is scary. You're right. You have a right to be scared. It's extremely disappointing. I'm glad that we have class on the other side. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris proved that today. And I agree. But with what you're saying, and you have a right to be scared. We need to hold his
Yeah.
feet to the fire. He is not above the law. And, we just got to wait and see how this thing plays out, my dear. And I really do appreciate your call. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. All right, let's go to Julian. Julian is next up on PTL. Hi, Julian. What's going on?
I mean, the obvious. Like, I'm mostly scared for my sisters, and my youngest sibling happens to be trans. I do want to push back on one thing a little bit, which is I get that the economy is good, but I don't think that a lot of it, the Democrats did a good enough job of communicating. It's just how rough things have gotten in terms of some of the prices, right? Now, it's not Joe Biden's fault, but like I don't think there's enough acknowledgement, and so I feel like a lot of American people were just not heard.
Yeah, I think you could make that case. I really believe, in my mind, in my heart, that we just have a lot of Americans in this country that are very ill-informed and brainwashed, and that might be because of where they get their news. It could be because some people are just uneducated. I've never sat here and said everybody who voted for Donald Trump is a dummy and a racist and a bigot. No, I've never used those terms. But Donald Trump's base is made up of people that are extremely uneducated and ill-informed. What surprises me is that she didn't get the female vote, that Biden got more of the female vote than she got. And it's hard for me to come up with a reasoning or an explanation why. That's the part that I can't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, and I guess I have my eyes open because there was somebody who I went on a few dates with, and we talked about politics, and she seemed to be normal and down to earth about that kind of stuff. Like she didn't seem like a Trumper. And then I posted something on my Instagram about talking about voting for Harris, and then she was like, well, and then she's like, well, what about people who voted for Trump? Indicating that she had too. And it seemed in complete direct contrast with who she was as a person. Because we had talked about things, like trans rights and all that jazz. And she was like, well, I'm struggling so much now.
I'm not trying to scare. I'm not trying to scare. Is it your sister that we're speaking of? I'm not trying to scare her. I'm not trying to scare you. But I will say this: Elon Musk will probably have some sort of cabinet position, and we all know how horrible he is to his own daughter, who happens to be trans. His trans daughter. Listen, you all as Americans have a right to be scared. You could be a minority. You can be of a certain race or religion. You could be trans. You could be a part of the gay community. Whatever the case may be, you have a right to be concerned. We should all be concerned as Americans. We have to hold Donald Trump's feet to the fire. And I know I'm going to keep saying that over and over and over again. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Who are we going to next year? We're going to Steve. Hi, Steve. What's going on?
Hey, just taking my call. Just coming up over the last couple of weeks and months and everything, you keep on saying that all the magnet people are idiots and all this.
I just said 20 seconds ago that I don't characterize. Sir, what did I just say?
You call them names left and right.
What did I just say? What did I just say 30 seconds ago? Hold on. I'm going to repeat it.
Called them.
Okay. Have I ever said I've never called?
So now you're going to be a liar. So now you're going to be a liar.
Are you going to let me talk and respond, or are you just going to keep talking? Okay. Thank you. That's very nice of you.
Ask you a question.
No. Before you ask the question, I will let you ask a question. I'm going to respond to what you just said. That means I need you to be quiet for 20 seconds. Can you do that? Are you capable? And then we can have a nice conversation. Is that fair?
Sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. As I just said 2 minutes ago, I've never characterized all people who voted for Donald Trump as anything stupid. What I have said, and I will repeat this over and over again, is his base of supporters, meaning the people who he said I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they will still support me, also known as cult type people. I believe many of those people are uneducated and ill-informed. I stand by that statement, and never have I characterized everybody who voted for Donald Trump or every single one of his supporters stupid, bigot, racist. What part of that do you not understand?
Well, what part of the millions of people that voted?
I just told you. I just said it. I'll repeat it again. The problem is you're not listening to me. Don't Brian me. I'm going to say it again. You're not listening. The people that he said I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they'll still support me. The people that show up to his rallies and buy his Bible, they buy his gold sneakers, they think he's innocent and he's never done anything wrong in his life. They look up to him like Jesus. Those are the people that I am talking about. I don't have an exact percentage for you. Well, 76.2%. I don't have that. I'm making a statement, and I stand by it because I've been saying it for years.
Would you say it was the majority of the millions of people that voted for him?
It's the majority of his base. I talk about his base. I'm not speaking about.
But obviously, there is people that don't agree with you, because we're not talking about 1 million people or 2 million people. Nobody in this election predicted that he would win the popular vote. He was supposed to lose the popular vote.
And your point?
By millions.
And what's your point?
So obviously, the country does not agree with you.
Okay, so first of all, they haven't stopped counting the votes yet. He may well win the popular vote. That's number one. Number two, Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump in 2020. In 2016, Donald Trump lost the popular vote to Hillary Clinton. The votes have not all been counted yet. He might lose the popular vote. So if he does, will you call back into the show and say, Brian, I was wrong. More than half the people that voted do agree with you. Are you willing to do that?
Well, no, because it wasn't even supposed to be close. She was.
Sir, you just hold on a second. Hold on a second. You just said you were just talking about the popular vote. Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. None of this has to do with the college degree. I'm going to respond again, and I'm going to speak slowly and distinctly. You just said he won the popular vote, so that means more than half the people that voted disagree with you. My response was, they haven't finished counting all the votes yet. If they finish counting all the votes and he wins the popular vote, then I'll say, yes, more than half the people that voted disagree with me. I'm asking you the same question, and it's amazing to me that I have to ask it twice, but I'm going to ask it again. If after they're done counting all the votes, and it shows that Kamala Harris won the popular vote, will you agree with me that more people that voted agree with me? Would you say you're wrong? Will you admit that? Why is it so hard for you to answer an easy question? What the hell is wrong with you people? Answer the question.
Because he gets 30 million votes from California.
I'm now going to ask it for a third time, you freaking idiots. This is why I call you people mega dopes. You're in the base. I've now asked the same question 3 times. You said if Trump wins, you said Trump won the popular vote. By the way, there's no counting votes, you dope. You said if Trump wins the popular vote, will you agree that more than half the people who voted disagree with you? Well, yeah, but they haven't finished counting the votes yet. I ask you a very simple question, and why is it that you're either too stubborn or too ignorant to answer? They haven't finished counting the votes yet. If, in fact, Kamala Harris does win the popular vote, will you agree that more people are on my side that voted? Why won't you answer that question? Why is it I have to ask it 3 times?
What does that add by you calling me a dope?
I'll tell you what it adds. By the way, stop with your, oh my God, he called me a name because you voted for the guy that calls everybody names. Stop playing the victim and answer the question. The reason why I'm calling you a dope is because you're doing the same thing that you're accusing me of doing. By the way, I answered your question. You won't answer mine. I've had to ask it 4 times. This is the last time I'm going to ask it, you dope. I'm sorry if you're a snowflake and you're offended by that. You sound like a complete moron, because I have to ask the same question to you, and you're not capable of answering it. They're still counting the votes. If Kamala Harris wins the popular vote the same way Hillary Clinton did, the same way Joe Biden did, will you admit that more people who voted agree with me? Yes or no? Answer the damn question.
Yeah.
Wow. Why did I have to ask that? Why did I have to ask that 5 times? No, because you're an idiot. No, because you wasted 10 minutes of my airtime because you're an idiot, and I had to ask the same question 5 times. Take a hike, loser. You are in MAGA base. You are in the MAGA Trump base. You are one of those ill-informed, uneducated morons. Thank you for proving my point. Why do I have to ask the question 5 times to these MAGA buffoons? Ladies and gentlemen, one of the main reasons why Donald Trump is going to become the president of the United States again is because of idiots like that. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. All right, let's go to Herb. Herb is next up on PTL. Hello, Herb.
Hey, Brian, how you doing? What a rough night.
Not really.
Listen, I just wanted
really.
to ask you a question.
Wasn't that rough?
Well, let me ask you a question. Can you tell me why so many Hispanics and so many blacks voted for Trump this time on this election?
How can I possibly answer that question when all these people voted yesterday and I don't have a crystal ball and I can't ask them? If you want to say, geez, Brian, why do you think all these people voted for Donald Trump? I'll give you the same answer I gave that last guy. I think there's a lot of people in this country that are ill-informed, that are uneducated, that don't understand the issues and don't understand that Donald Trump is not good for your bank account if you are a middle-class American, those struggling to live paycheck to paycheck. If you don't believe me, look at policy and look at the fact that Donald Trump had the biggest tax breaks for the top 1% in this country. And I could assume that many of those minorities that voted for Donald Trump that you are mentioning are not in the top 1% tax bracket. So I think they're very ill-informed. They listen to the lies. They listen to Donald Trump making claims that credit card debt is going to be capped at 10% for interest rates, that 33% of the budget is going to be cut, and it's going to be balanced. And he says that everyone is going to get a tax cut. We all know that it's not going to happen. He says car loan interest rates will be deductible. My answer, a lot of these people, no matter what the color of their skin is or where they're from, believe what he says. Just like back in 2016 when he said, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hire a special prosecutor to go after Hillary Clinton. I'm going to build a wall. Mexico is going to pay for it because there are a percentage of people in this country, no matter what they look like, that believe the lies told by Donald Trump, who will say and do anything to get elected. That's why, Herb.
So then those people that minorities primarily that voted so much for Trump.
I'm talking about anybody that votes for him. Anybody.
Okay, well, I saw a report this morning that they said that nationally, 24% of blacks voted for Trump. You said that it was going to be no more than 10%.
Have they counted all the votes yet?
Well, if they haven't counted all the votes, Brian,
predominantly, have they? Okay, so I'll tell you what. Herb.
They haven't counted all the votes.
Herb, are you saying they have? Maybe I don't know something. Have they counted all the votes yet?
They may not have.
Oh, okay, thank you. So, Herb, when all the votes are counted, then we can have that conversation. Okay, there's a lot of votes.
Oh, Brian, come on. Well, let me just say,
what do you mean? Oh, Brian, come on. You think that's? Am I not being reasonable with you? Hold on, stop, Herb. Listen to me. Am I not being reasonable when I say, give me the percentages of the votes when all the votes have been counted? You don't think that's a reasonable thing to say? That's not reasonable?
No, because a lot of those.
Well, then, Herb, you're an idiot. I don't know what another idiot on the phone, another moron. Boy, you guys are coming out of the woodworks today. Holy smoke! You want to talk about percentages and what race voted and what race didn't vote, and then I say all the votes haven't been counted yet. Let's wait until then, and then I'm happy to have the conversation with you. And he doesn't think that's reasonable. Herb, take a hike. Another guy, the reason why Donald Trump won. Another guy in the MAGA Trump base. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. All right, let's go to Greg. Greg is next up on PTL. Hey, Greg, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, Brian? I'm a big fan, man. I follow you on YouTube, and
thank you.
I indeed voted for Kamala Harris, and the reason why, I'm on the side of right and wrong. Now, I'm a disabled Army veteran.
Thank you for your service.
My body and my mental health, I put that on the line for democracy. But this is the best America can do to pay me back. This is the best y'all can do for me.
I understand.
I get a check every month,
right,
for putting my body and my mental health on the line. And this is the best America can do for me.
It's sad.
They voted for a guy that was scared. I volunteered. He was scared to defend this country. Yes, I'm an African American. He was scared to defend this country. I volunteered at 19 years old, and my mind and body will never be the same again. And it hurts me to my heart that this is the best America can do for people like myself.
Well, and
who
let's
didn't have a
remember,
problem with defending this country.
You're right. And this is a guy who dodged the military, as you know. This is a guy, as you said, was the bone spurs argument or the excuse that he made. And then you have brave men and women who risk their life for this country like yourself. And the best this country can do for you is an elect a adjudicated rapist, 34 count felon. It's very
Here's
sad.
another thing, Brian. This what most people, not to cut you off, there's what most people don't believe. That's why I believe that bone spurs thing is BS.
Yeah.
I had bone spurs my whole enlistment. I did 5-mile road marches. I did 12-mile road marches. I did 25-mile road marches.
Right.
Did not make an excuse, except I wanted that honorable discharge so much that bone spurs did not hinder me from fighting for this country.
Well, I'll say this in closing. And as I said, thank you for your service. Here's what I can tell you. Here's what I can do. You will always have a voice on this show. And I will always fight for people like you on this show. I will always fight for justice. I will always fight for truth. I will separate fact from fiction. And I will call out the MAGA morons out there who think that Donald Trump is this wonderful man who's a hero and a patriot. I will do that for people like you because the fight won't stop. In fact, it'll only make me and this show stronger, my friend. I promise you that, okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much, man. I watch you on YouTube and I catch clips, and I was lucky to get in live. I called like 7 times.
You
but
call
I got it.
anytime.
I just wanted to put that out there because people talking about, oh, he dodged the military, bone spurs, this, that, and the third. I had bone spurs my entire
Well, he's a coward.
enlistment.
He's a coward. We know that. He's a coward. Unlike you. He's the opposite of you. You sound like a great man, a smart man, and he is a hero. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you do want to get back on the show. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the show is 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's see, who are we going to next here? Let's go to Lydia. Lydia is next up on PTL. Hey, Lydia, what's going on?
Hi. I'm just really, really disappointed with my fellow Americans
Yeah.
that they can reelect this man after seeing the chaos he caused the first 4 years of his presidency.
Yep.
Honestly, I never called him president. He is, as far as I'm concerned, POSBE,
Well,
president of bullshit.
Yeah, well, he's
As
a horrible guy.
Of a veteran, as a mother that has a daughter that served in Afghanistan, wounded in Afghanistan, for him to call people that are enlisted voluntarily to serve for their country cowards, idiots, stupid, they're derogatory. Being an immigrant myself, first generation.
Can I ask you a question, if I
I'm-
may? And by the way, thank
Yes.
you for your family's service to this country. They sound like you have a lot of heroes in your family. What do you say to all the other immigrants that are in this country? There's a lot of good, hardworking people. Some of them might be undocumented, but what do you say to all those people? Because there's a lot of people that are very, very scared. Good, hardworking people. Do I wish they were all legal in this country? Yes. But there's a lot of decent, good people in this country that might not have their paperwork, and they're worried that they're going to be deported. I mean, what would you say to them? There's a lot of people worried today.
Here's the thing. I'm not scared of immigrants. I do wish that they came here in a more legal manner, as my parents did, as my ancestors did, as my fellow uncles and aunts. They all came here.
Yeah.
What I'd like to know, how come they're not afraid of the immigrants who came from Europe, Russia, Romania, etc.,
Yeah.
who came to this country on a visa and then never returned?
That's a
Why
really-
aren't they worried about them taking people's jobs?
That's a good question. You're right. And I'll also add to that per capita, you're a better chance of being the victim of a crime from a legal citizen than someone who is undocumented. There's a lot of people in this country that woke up this morning that might not have their paperwork, and they might not be legal U.S. citizens that are very, very worried. And I feel for them. I really do, because the overwhelming majority of these people are good, hardworking people that just want a better life for their families, and they're scared. Now, is Donald Trump going to deport 15 million migrants? I don't know. I really don't know. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. Let's go to Jeff. Jeff is next on PTL. Hey, Jeff, what's going on?
Hey, Brian, what's going on? So if you could give me just a little bit of room, Brian, because I do have to agree with Joe Walsh about Joe Biden's role in this, and in particular, the RBG comparison. Those are two people who couldn't read the situation and insisted on sticking around too long for their own egos and vanity. And the lasting implications of that are unfortunate and are going to take generations to fix.
Okay, but can I interject real quick and push back a little bit? So from what I've heard is, Nancy Pelosi wanted Joe Biden out. Barack Obama may even been a part of that. So I think it's fair to give a little bit of criticism to Biden. My problem with that is, why didn't they start this process earlier? If they truly primary.
Well, those questions are valid questions. And I think the problem that they ran into yesterday was that when Biden ran in 2020, claiming to be, to help us heal through COVID and be this transition to a new generation of leaders, I believe Gen Z heard, no matter what the results are, no matter what the accomplishments are, Biden would always have been viewed as going back on his word, like all politicians have done in the lives of Gen Z.
Right.
So that's what I think on that. But Brian, I find it so strange that MAGA is spiking the football today, congratulating themselves because they have been manipulated by Russia's puppet to happily undermine democracy and in turn take a gigantic dump on the greatest generation and everything they
Well,
fought
guess what? I root for America. I want America to succeed. Well, Donald Trump is the guy that said the war in the Ukraine is going to be over in 24 hours when he becomes president. Let's see if that takes place. There's going to be peace around the world. Let's see if that takes place. And if it doesn't, then the MAGA Republicans are going to, have their foot in their mouth once again. But yeah, I have a lot of concerns with the next 4 years. And as I said every day on this show, we will talk about those concerns together. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Jason. Jason is next up on PTL. Hi, Jason.
Hey, how you doing, Brian? How you feel? You all right?
I'm okay. I'm actually feeling
okay?
better. I'm actually feeling better than I thought I would. I'm actually feeling
All
okay.
right, so let me.
Yep, go ahead.
As you know, my talking points. I'm gonna hit you with a couple of them. So first of all, I really appreciate your show. My grandfather, my stepfather, and everybody in most of my family served. That's number one.
Wow.
Number two, Martin Luther King's dream died today because the content of your character doesn't matter anymore. It's the color of your skin.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no way anybody said they voted for Trump because of character. That's number two. Number three is people voted capitalism over democracy.
Yeah.
So let that be known more than anything. And more than anything, I blame Biden because he definitely said, and that's why I voted for him. He said, when I become president, I'm only going to be a one-term president, and I'm going to let the new generation step up. And that was his choice. And it might have not been Kamala. It could have been somebody. It could have been Joaquin. It could have been so many different people that could have had that shot. But because Biden said he was going to run again, all Democrats pulled back and let Joe run. And that's why I'm mad at Joe for everything that happened, because he said it out of his own mouth. I'm going to be a one-term president and let the new generation step in.
Well, he
And
did
that's
say that.
why-
You're right about that. That's a very fair criticism, and I'm with you on that. But here's why I think it's more than just that. If everybody just points their fingers at Joe Biden, like it sounds like what you're doing and what Joe Walsh did.
No, I'm just saying, hold on, Brian. There's one thing, and let's be honest. Because if he said that and then came to the debate.
No, but hold on a second. Okay, but hold on a second. I hear what you're saying. I understand your frustration. here's where most of my frustration lies, and you could tell me whether you agree or not. Okay. Most of my frustration lies in so many Americans in this country, in my personal opinion, that voted for bigotry and hatred. As much as I dislike Donald Trump and think he is a despicable human being, I am frustrated, angry, and amazed at the stupidity of maybe not all, but so many people who decided to vote for an adjudicated rapist and 34 count felon. My frustration lies more with them than Joe Biden. Yeah.
Brian, could I interject 1 second?
Yes.
I'm just going to, because I was watching, and it bothered me. I asked Alexa this morning at 2 a.m, so I stayed up from 2 to 4. And all I know is this, because the guy, I forgot his name. He said, because of the pocketbook issues, people voted for rage and racism. That's what they voted for, because they were mad of the eggs were $2 or $4 more, and racism. Because what happened in Madison Square Garden was disgusting, and I'm disgusted about.
But
America
it wasn't.
Right now.
I agree with you, but guess what? It wasn't disgusting enough for the overwhelming majority of Americans to vote for Kamala Harris, and I find that very, very problematic where this country is going. Kamala Harris, just speaking, and I want to read a quote from what she just said. These are the words that you would never hear from an evil, murderous, wannabe dictator like Donald Trump. Kamala Harris said, quote, "We must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that will help him and his team with their transition and that will engage in a peaceful transfer of power." Those are the words that Donald Trump not only would never use back in 2020, but still doesn't admit that he lost the 2020 election because he is an utter piece of scum. Kamala Harris is 150% showing class and dignity, and I appreciate her words. And I appreciate Joe Biden and what he's done today as well. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Nick. Nick is next up on PTL. Hi, Nick.
Hey, Brian. How's it going?
Oh, it's, it could be going better, but I'm doing okay.
Right.
Considering the circumstances. I'm doing all right today.
Yeah, same here. I'm doing a little bit better. I know I think, I got to get it a couple of days or a week.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to share. So, a lot of the things were already covered with what I think went wrong. The big things for me were it's a combination of everything for sure. People were concerned about the economy, they said, and some people are trying to say that's the big issue, like Joe Biden should have just dropped out earlier. I think that's a part of it for sure, but it's a combination of, people being concerned. Like, I think Democrats should have done more maybe to address the economical success that they've had, and I know that they did that, but I just think they could have been more aggressive with it maybe. And the big thing is, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought.
That's all
right. It's just, the big thing is it's just a combination of things. That's what I'm trying to get at here.
Sure.
Like, yes, it's Joe Biden's fault for not staying true to his word.
It is a combination. I agree with you.
Right. Like it's Obama and
yeah,
all
there's a
that
lot
for
of,
not doing
listen,
it earlier.
I think there's a lot that went into this, but we cannot forget that so many and millions and tens of millions of Americans decided they have absolutely no problem with an adjudicated rapist and a 34 count felon being the leader of the free world. And I think some of those Americans were willing to discount that and throw that aside because they didn't want to elect a woman. Now, some of them will say that's not true. It's about policy when they can't have a policy conversation and they can't spell the word fact. But the truth of the matter is that there are a percentage of those that voted yesterday. I don't know what that percentage is, but there are a percentage of those that voted yesterday that don't want a woman to be in power and they would rather have an adjudicated rapist felon. That is just the reality. That is the reality of the situation in the country that we are living in. And I love this country. And there's no other country in the world I'd rather live. But I am so disappointed. And I think the world is laughing at us right now. Look at who we are putting back into the White House. An adjudicated rapist and a 34 count felon. I mean, it's mesmerizing to me. And I know friends of mine that I've had conversations with that voted for Donald Trump. I was having I spoke to so many people yesterday and this morning, my head's spinning. 702-221-7283 is the number to call, by the way, if you want to be a part of the conversation. All right, let's go to Rich. Rich is next up on PTL. Hi, Rich.
Yes. I thought the whole purpose of the Electoral College was the same states wouldn't be the ones that would judge who would be president.
Yeah, don't even, boy, Rich, you open up a can of worms there. I'm pretty frustrated on the Electoral College. I don't know how you feel about it, but it should, to me, it should always be the popular vote. I've always felt that way. And maybe Trump still wins the popular vote. I don't know, but it should be the popular vote always.
Yeah, because what I had been taught that the Electoral College was for the same states wouldn't be able to vote all the time to, like 5 or 6 states would always be the presidential election,
Yeah. But let's be clear, though.
It seems like it is today.
Let's be clear, right? Let's be clear. The Electoral College is a way of giving Republicans a chance to win. I mean, let's just call it for what it is. I mean, 8 out of the 9 presidential elections, Democrats have won the popular vote, including Hillary Clinton, by the way. The Electoral College gives Republicans an opportunity. I don't care whether you live in New Hampshire, California, if you're in Vegas, where I am. It shouldn't matter where you live. I feel that way about the Electoral College. I feel that way about voting. I feel that way about the abortion issue. Geography should have no bearing on a woman's body, and it shouldn't matter where you live, because if you're a human being, your vote should count just as much as mine, no matter where you live, whether you live in a $30 million mansion or whether you're homeless or whether you live in California or New York. It shouldn't matter.
Correct.
This is the country that we live in, my friend. I don't know what else to tell you, but we're on the same side. I agree with you. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Thomas. Thomas is next up on PTL. What's up, Thomas?
Hi, Brian. Thanks for taking the call.
You bet. What's on your mind today?
Hey, I'm hearing a lot of people talk about, all the things that are negative with Trump and with the things that they liked about Kamala. But I mean, I really do believe that this result is like an indictment of the Democratic Party as a whole. Like, a lot of the young voters, I'm in my mid-30s, so not quite young anymore, but a lot of people seem to be just totally unhappy with what we got going on. And I voted third party myself because I wasn't going to be one of the people that, put a vote towards a lot of the policies that I feel like aren't my true views, such as the wars going on overseas, and then different kind of, these milquetoast policies that incremental this, incremental that. So,
well, give me an example of a Democrat policy that you would call, as you said, a milquetoast policy put forth by the Joe Biden administration. Like, can you give me an example of something, and let's have a conversation about that?
Right. Oh man, I always give your callers a mess for not having the stuff pulled up. But
well, listen, it's okay. But okay, I'll let you think about that. Let me respond to what you just said, because I respectfully disagree with you. I don't think this is necessarily an indictment, as you put it, on the Democrat Party. You know what I think it's an indictment on? The right-wing media, misinformation, people that are ill-informed. And by the way, it's not just the right-wing media. The comment that Joe Biden, the garbage comment he made last week, got all that coverage. But those are the type of statements that Donald Trump makes on a daily basis. And I think members of the media have tried to, at least maybe intentional or not, normalize Donald Trump's behavior. There's a lot of ill information out there, misinformation. And, you're telling me that you didn't vote for Harris or Trump. Okay, my response to that is it was going to be one or the other. But you saying it's an indictment on the Democrat Party, then from somebody like yourself, you sound like a nice guy. I want to know what Joe Biden has done that you would consider a milquetoast policy, now that you've had a few moments to think about that, because surely there has to be some things that are in your mind, the reason why you didn't vote for Kamala Harris, right?
Right. Her record isn't a policy, but during her, formative years coming up, and she was very successful in all the things she did. But, as a prosecutor and putting in different programs in California, and then, I'm having trouble now. You got me under the gun, but
I'm not, well, listen, the only reason why I'm asking you this question, my friend, with all due respect, is because you made a claim that I respectfully disagree with you on, and that you're entitled to your opinion. That's fine. I just see it a little bit differently than you. You said that this is an indictment on the Democrat Party. I think the Democrat Party is going to have to take a couple steps back and take a look at some things. And I don't agree with everything in the Democratic Party, but I will say this. I think this is more an indictment on, and you're not going to like what I'm about to say, and I understand you didn't vote for Donald Trump. I think this is an indictment on how many people in this country are very ill-informed. How many people in this country that don't understand the economy, that don't understand the threat that Donald Trump is to democracy. They don't understand the dangerous people that he has around him. And they don't understand the things he says on a regular basis that are just crazy. He should not be anywhere near the Oval Office. I think it's an indictment on stupidity.
Can I leave you on a question?
Sure.
Can I leave you on a question?
Sure.
I see a lot of pundits on like the mainstream media saying that she should have, placated more to the middle of the electoral, people. But I feel like she should have gone further to her base, further towards the left.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Here's why. She only had a few months to talk to the American people. She had to go to those battleground states. I thought Kamala Harris did about as good as a job as she could have done, and she overperformed. Why do I say that? She wiped the floor clean with Donald Trump. Bias or not, my friend, you have to admit that she did a really good job in that debate, and that's why Donald Trump did not want to debate her again. I don't blame Kamala Harris one bit. You can put a little bit of blame on Joe Biden. You can say that this process should have happened earlier. Maybe, perhaps there should have been a primary. Okay, we can go that route. But I don't think this is an indictment on the Democratic Party, and this is why I say that. Look at what
I just think a lot of people want her to go further left, and I'm of that opinion.
I don't want her to go further left. I don't think that's good for the country. I don't want people on the right to go further right. I don't want people on the left to go further left. I want people to come in the middle. Why? So they can work with the other side. Donald Trump is not going to be working with Democrats. Joe Biden was able to work with Republicans. So why do I say that? Remember when Donald Trump said that he was going to get this infrastructure bill done? Guess what? He didn't get it done. You know who got it done? Joe Biden, because it was a bipartisan bill. He worked with Republicans, worked really hard, by the way, to get it done. Joe Biden was able to work with Republicans, the most bipartisan gun legislation that has been done in decades, okay? Not because Joe Biden is far to the left. He was able to work with Republicans. And then Joe Biden and Kamala Harris worked really hard. You could say maybe they should have done this in year one. Fair criticism, but they had that bipartisan border bill put in place. A border bill, by the way, the Border Patrol endorsed. And what happened? Donald Trump picked up the phone and he said, don't vote for this bill unless it's perfect. What really means is I don't want Joe Biden to make any more, do any more accomplishments or get anything done until I'm president because I want to win because I only care about myself. So I disagree with you respectfully, sir. I don't want people to turn far to the right. I don't want people to go far to the left. We need more moderates in office. Donald Trump is just a moron. He's not a moderate or a far right Republican. He's a moron who won't work with people that disagree with him. And that's a danger to the country, my friend. It just is, in my opinion.
Agree. Thank you, Brian.
All right. Thank you for the call. Good questions. Thank you. All I would say to that phone call is, if you think this is an indictment on the Democrat Party, then give me some policies. Tell me why you didn't vote for Kamala Harris. That's all I ask. Seems like a nice guy. Good conversation. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you do want to be a part of the conversation. All right. I think next up on PTL, we got about 8 minutes left to go here. I want to get to as many calls as I can. Let's go to Robin. Robin is next up on PTL. Hey, Robin, thanks for calling in. What's going on?
Hey, Brian. I woke up this morning and I thought, okay, he lost. But life goes on.
Yes, it does.
And I was okay with it.
Yes, it does.
Well, I wasn't okay with it, but
right. I get what you're saying.
Anyway,
I get it.
Then I got an awful message from someone in my feed. I mean, called me every name in the book, told me how stupid I was.
Yeah.
It was beyond me. And that's what upset me for the rest of the day. I was just devastated.
Well, here's what I would say. I'm going to give you a little bit of advice because trust me, I've been through this and more. I don't really care what trolls say. I don't care what they think. Once in a blue moon, I'll go on social media and I'll just mess with them a little bit and giggle and laugh. But I stopped caring what some of these people think. I don't care what they think about me, the lies they spew about me personally. I laugh at it because it's so ridiculous, right? But don't let it ruin your day, okay?
Well,
you are your own person. These people are sophomoric. They're 8-year-olds, quite frankly. And many of them, the reason why they voted for Donald Trump, because they like his insults. They like the jokes he makes about minorities and stuff. You are a better person. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have to verbally fight back and defend yourself. I think you should. but don't let it affect you. And if it does, don't talk to that person anymore. That would be my advice.
Oh, they're gone.
Good.
No, they're
Good.
gone.
Good.
But
Good.
I also have to say, my husband had personal dealings with Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
He was a contractor on Trump Tower in Miami.
So did he get paid?
And he
Of course
screwed
not.
him. He paid him 50 cents on the dollar.
Oh, jeez.
And if my husband wasn't successful, he would have put us out of business.
I hear
So-
stories like this, my dear, every single time I talk about Donald Trump with groups of people that, well, I know somebody that did business with him and he didn't pay this, he didn't pay that. Even worse, Donald Trump celebrates it. And I'm sorry to hear that your husband had to go through that. That's horrible. 702-221-7283. Doug is next. What's going on, Doug?
Oh, hi. Hey, I'm glad I finally got through. I'm calling from the deep red state of Nebraska. And my question is this. Do you think they're really going to get rid of Social Security?
Here's what I know, and then I'll give you my opinion, okay? I know that there are at least a few Republicans that want to, including Mike Lee, who said it on tape. So we know there are a few that have been caught saying it. Number two, Donald Trump has made the case that there will be, at least he's made the claim that when he's president, there'll be zero taxes on Social Security. I don't think that's going to happen. Just like his stupid tips, no tax on tips for anybody. So I guess what I would say to that is, I think there is a portion of the MAGA base, yes, that wants to do away with Social Security. So I'm not going to discount that worry that you have, and I think it could happen. Yes, under the Trump administration, I think it could. I guess that's my answer.
Okay, well, I have a coworker that has a special needs person, and the child's on Social Security and the Medicare, and he told me he wants that gone. I just don't.
Well, here's the problem, and here's the problem, right? Donald Trump has concepts of a plan. They want to replace Obamacare, but they don't have a plan to replace it with. I wish there was something that I could say to make you feel better. I don't have a good answer for you that you're going to like. That's the best answer I could give you, and I think we might be in trouble. I'm not going to lie to you. Never do on this show. Not going to start now. Let's go to Lou. Lou is next. What's up, Lou?
Hey, Brian, keep up the good fight, man. I wasn't going to call about this, but that last caller brought up a point.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Trump, he eliminated the FICA tax the last few months of his presidency.
Yep.
If he does the same thing, Social Security will be bankrupt within 2, 3, 4 years.
That's a very good point. I got to tell you something, my friend. The economy is in a pretty good place right now. I think Donald Trump is going to rip it to shreds. I think we're in a lot of trouble. By the way, I'm not rooting for that to happen. As much as
I am not either.
As much as I hate Donald Trump, I want the country to succeed. I just think, the 15 million migrants he's going to deport, I don't even know. He hasn't even said how he's going to do that. But if he deports 15 million migrants, which I don't think is going to happen, our economy is going to suffer. And we talk about, and Mark Cuban, when I interviewed him last week, the tariffs that Donald Trump seems to be obsessed with, this country's in a lot of trouble. But just like I did in 2016, he's proven it. Fool me once, don't fool me again. And I think that we need to understand what Donald Trump is going to do this economy, what he's going to do to this country for hardworking Americans and those that are living paycheck to paycheck, my friend. I think we're in for it, and we have to be prepared for it. Save your money now while you can. Carrie's next. Carrie, I got about 45 seconds for you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm glad you accepted my call.
Sure.
I just want to say I think it's wrong for them to blame Biden for all that stuff. When Biden took the office, he had a lot to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I want to say, I'm 72 years old and I've never seen a mess like I seen with Trump. I've never seen a mess like that. And another thing I want to say, I do believe they stole votes from Kamala Harris. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's where I feel. And when Trump go to deporting people, he should be at the top of the list. Why don't he go back to Germany?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you this. They haven't counted all the votes yet, and Joe Walsh made a very good point. So let's wait until all the votes are counted. I can't imagine that 15 million Democrats decided to sit this one out. Doesn't make any sense to me. The bomb threats are serious. Donald Trump lying yesterday about election fraud in Philadelphia. But then when he wins, everything's all good and fine. All right, so here's what we are going to do tomorrow. I'm going to be joined by Don Lemon. Get his thoughts. A black gay man living in this country. What does he see moving forward here in the next 4 years under a Donald Trump regime? Obviously, we'll take more of your phone calls, and I love hearing from all of you, even those that disagree with me. We had some good calls, some not so good calls, but that's okay. I am not changing what I'm doing on this show. In fact, it'll make me stronger. It'll make this show stronger, as some people have called in and echoed that. I'm not changing what I do here. I'm going to hold Donald Trump's feet to the fire every single day. And I'm going to separate fact from fiction, and it has motivated me more. And we got some great things with this show right around the corner. I can't wait to announce to all of you. Check out my website, pushingthelimits.live, please. If you check out that website, sign up for my YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. I'm also on X, where I'm very interactive on there, at PTL Radio Show. Go onto my website, pushingthelimits.live. You'll see plenty of merchandise on there, shirts, hats, beanies. We appreciate your support. And there's a donate button right on that front page, pushingthelimits.live. Doesn't matter what you donate, $5, $10, $20 a month, whatever you can donate, we appreciate it. That's pushingthelimits.live. Thanks for Justin for the help. And Don Lemon tomorrow, folks. We will see you tomorrow on the show, and we will take some more phone calls. I promise you that. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip.